Hello everyone, welcome to our 7th edition of Impulse Talks, coming to you live from Paris. First of all, on behalf of Impulse Partners, I would like to wish you a Happy New Year, and we are certain that 2021 will be filled with innovations. So, as you are starting to be aware, our ambition with Impulse Talks is to provide an international overview on innovation and how tech is developing in construction and beyond. So each month, we are featuring some of the best startups alongside with testimonies from industry leaders and perspectives from venture capital investors. And we are covering topics such as smart city, industry 4.0, and as it is the case of today, digital construction. So please, everyone, turn off your microphones and your video to make sure that this session is running as smooth as possible. So for your information, this session is being recorded. To begin with, I would like to thank our distribution partners that you're seeing on the screen right now for relaying the information about this session. Before we start, a few words about Impulse Partners. So at Impulse Partners, we are passionate about innovation in construction, smart city, and we know that these are some of the biggest sectors in the world, but we also know that they remain largely under-optimized as they are highly fragmented, they are ruled by local regulation, and therefore it's difficult for them to address globally environmental and productivity challenges. So we are convinced that there is a huge opportunity for innovation and entrepreneurs in those fields, that they can help reshape the industry and improve efficiency and sustainability. So our role at Impulse is to help detect the most promising startups and to connect them with the market. We act as a third party and a facilitator between industry players, startups, and investors. So we work with many of the largest names, as you can see on the screen, and industry leaders and in our focus sectors, and more than 600 startups that we have helped accelerate their go-to-market. So part of our jobs is to bring people together across the value chain and across geographies. And this is exactly what we will be doing today, considering how diverse the audience is. So indeed, so today, as I'm seeing on the screen, we have 35 people in this meeting. More than 100 people have registered, so we are hoping that some more will be joining us. And most of them are industry leaders in materials, engineering firm, contractors, real estates, and also investors. So we are glad to gather people from all over the world today on such an interesting topic. So last thing before we start, so you will receive a link for a questionnaire in the chat below, and you can also see the QR code on the screen. So it's a short questionnaire, and it's really important for you to fill it so we can have your feedback. And also, it's a way for you to get to know the startups and the speakers. So we've done many interesting introductions in the past in our talks, and we'll be more than happy to keep doing it. So to discuss the topic of today, I'm now glad to give the floor to our digital construction expert here at Impulse, Thomas. So Thomas, if you are hearing me.
I'm hearing you, Benjamin. Thank you very much. Hi, everyone. I hope everyone's hearing me well. My name is Thomas Martignon, and I'm in charge of the topics related to digital construction within Impulse's ecosystem. I also supervise strategy consulting assignments for our clients on their innovation path. I'm glad to talk to you about such a rich and dynamic topic that we at Impulse try to make as concrete as possible. So first, I'll start with a few words about today's topic, digital construction. We have listed here all the innovations and new uses that we believe can make a strong impact on the sector. All key stakeholders in the value chain can be impacted and have the responsibility to evaluate potential for transformation. I'm not going to go through all of them, but today's event will focus on some of these innovations with our selected startups' testimonies. So we have highlighted here the topics we will cover today. We'll discuss two main themes: data management on the one hand and robotics on the other hand. About data management, we'll talk about real-time on-site data management with Hustro, and about environmental impact with Click LCA. Then we'll hear about robotics and its use for construction, customization with Cobod, and security and optimization with KEWAZO. So next slide, please. The speakers who will present those topics to you are 4 entrepreneurs from Germany, Finland, Poland, and Denmark. They will be pitching us their innovation while showing us some use cases. Finally, Ibon will tell us more about CEMEX Ventures, the corporate venture for CEMEX. He will explain how active the fund is when it comes to digital construction. This is a 1-hour session, and we will have a few minutes at the end of the event for Q&A. So if you have any questions during the webinar, feel free to post them on the chat, and we will ask them at the end of the event if we have some time left. So without further ado, let's start the 7th edition of Impulse Talks dedicated to digital construction. Benjamin, I give you back the microphone to introduce the first startup.
Well, thank you very much, Thomas. And I especially insist on the fact that you can ask your questions in the chat, because today it's going to be a bit shorter than usual. So if you have any questions during the pitch, feel free to just post them on the chat, and at the end we'll be more than happy to review them. So let's now start, and we'll start with Artem from KEWAZO from Germany, and in a nutshell, KEWAZO offers a smart robotic elevators for industrial and construction sites, with the first application focusing being scaffolding assembly. So please, Artem, can you switch on your mic and your camera, and you have 5 minutes to pitch us your innovation.
Yeah, thanks for the intro, Benjamin, Thomas. Can you hear me? Yeah, great. Thanks for the intro. Yeah, my name is Artem. I'm a co-founder and CEO of KEWAZO. We are a Munich-based startup focusing on robotics and data. And our main goal is automate construction by using these 2 main tools. Our company was founded in 2018. Right now we are 21 people. This is what makes us one of the leading construction robotics companies in Europe. Up to date, we've been on site with our solution since July 2019. We've done 30 test projects and pilot projects. Up to date, we raised around 4 million euro of VC capital. And as Benjamin rightly mentioned, our first solution is a robotic material hoist, with the first application being scaffolding assembly, which is a 45 billion market. Next slide, please. Yeah, you may ask why scaffolding? It's actually, we have found out that it's a pretty good application first application for our technology. With this industry having 3 main problems, such as safety, labor shortage, and inefficiency. Next slide, please. It's like not many people know this, but the funny part about scaffolding that 80% of jobs nowadays are done this way, like completely manually. You just have people standing above each other, like many people, like 10, 11 guys, and doing this operation completely manually, starting from assembly, disassembly, and going to like a vertical and horizontal transport on site. Next slide, please. To solve this problem, to automate this operation, we introducing a robotic material hoist lift bot. This way we can automate this 80% of job by just overtaking the transport of material, and so that people can actually focus on what they can do the best, assembly or disassembly of material, and robots overtaking the material transport on site. So you can think about this as warehouse automation, where you have robots transporting material from point A to point B, and people actually handling the material. Next slide, please. Also, our solution is certified. Like, we have recently received the TÜV certification. So right now we have a first batch. We're introducing the first batch of several units, which we are introducing right now in German market. Next slide, please. So here you can see a video from one of the projects which took place in November in Munich, Germany. So you can see here our system. This is certified version of LeafBot, and you can actually get an understanding of how this is being operated. So the system is completely wireless. We use batteries instead of cables, and the navigation is being done completely wireless. So how it actually works, you have people loading the system on the ground, just pressing a button on the remote control once, and the system automatically drives to the required delivery level, this way automating the job of vertical transportation. So here you can see some highlights about the project. The comments are written in German, but more or less you can get an understanding that it's quite easy to use. It's quite compact. It takes almost no place on site, and this way basically enabling our solution LeafBot being used in situations where the job will be done completely manually. This way saving up to 44% of man hours. Next slide, please. And this is our main value proposition here, so that by enabling this opportunity of saving 44% of man hours, which means 2 or 3 guys assembling instead of 5 or 7 on site, we directly address the problem of labor shortage, which actually is the biggest problem nowadays in the industry. At the same time, we increase flexibility of the solution, which makes our solution being able to be deployed in situations where you have no other transportation solution being deployed, and improving safe and health of employees. Next slide, please. Simultaneously, we are we're providing data analytics solution, which means that we give much more insights on what happens on site to our customers. Next slide, please. Our main applications are construction, industrial sector, and shipbuilding yard, and we are working with leading companies in these sectors. Next slide, please. We have done more than 30 projects nowadays, as I mentioned before. Next slide, please. And here is an example of a POC which was done in Germany in 2019 in November. Next slide, please. So you can see here that it's a typical refinery setup where you have not much space available, where you have where it's like access is pretty limited, and even in such situations, LeafBot could be deployed. This way optimizing the job which is being done, so that the job was done with 3 people in 3 days instead of 4 people in 4 days. So here you can see actually the old version of LeafBot, and you can go to the next slide. And here you can actually see the savings which we had. So like basically by getting the job done in 3 days with 3 workers instead of 4 days and 4 workers, we could save 44% of man hours. I think my time is up right now, so I think we will just we can go to the next slide and jump to the questions.
Yeah, thank you very much, Artem, for your presentation and those concrete examples. Again, good point with the questions. If you have any, either wait until the end of the presentation to ask them, or you can just comment, and we'll make sure to ask them at the end of the presentation. Same goes with if you want to get in touch with KEWAZO, use our questionnaire that we've just sent in the chat below. Thanks again, Artem, and we see you at the end of the presentation for the question if there are any. So now we'll be moving to Lorelia, who will be presenting Click LCA, so a startup coming from Finland, but Lorelia, you're based in France. So Click LCA, in a few words, develops softwares for environmental impact calculation and life cycle analysis of construction works. So Lorelia, it's now your time. I leave you the floor. You have 5 minutes.
Hello, everyone. Happy New Year. Nice meeting you all. So myself, Aurelia, I'm business developer and engineer based in France, and we provide tools to decarbonize global construction. Next slide, please. Click LCA is a Finnish-based company. We are the world-leading construction LCA, so lifecycle assessment software platform in the world, used in more than 70 countries. We have right now more than 40 staff around that number, and one of our specificity is that we integrate all environmental data for construction products from around the world, so environmental product declarations. Next slide, please. So embodied carbon is obviously a key driver in driving carbon impacts down, and that's what we focus on with our solutions mainly, not only. And this is a topic of importance for everyone in the supply chain. So whether you're an investor, builder, or designer, the Scope 3 emissions represent a lot. Next slide, please. So we believe that to drive those emission downs, there needs to be a market transformation. And we are part of this by providing tools to every one of those stakeholders in the value chain. So from tenants, regulators, builders, designers, and manufacturers. Next slide, please. How do we do this? So we have a Click LCA is a cloud-based platform. We have APIs. We have different softwares for each of those different stakeholders. And we also integrate all of the data. At the bottom, you can see a few of the certifications we support, but we support a lot more: carbon disclosure, life cycle assessments, and then we also integrate in your day-to-day engineering tools like Revit and others. Next slide, please. So that's an overview of a few of the ones we work with. Again, here, really what we try to do is also enable more transparency and ease of exchange of the data around environmental impacts between those key stakeholders in the value chain. And I guess if your name's not on it, you're welcome to contact us, see how we can help you. And I will now, on the next slide, show you a quick overview of our tool. Maybe you can make the video. Yeah, so that's our cloud-based platform. We have tools for as well building projects, infrastructure projects, also organization greenhouse gas reporting. I'm going to jump in here in one of our building lifecycle assessment projects, so you can see how it looked like. We have different tools here: lifecycle costing and carbon emission tools. And we have here a building where we try to optimize from a baseline, making it more passive, then reusing the foundations, putting a wood frame to reduce carbon emissions. And that's what you can see then on the graphics at the bottom. You can see how we optimize the carbon emission through each of those optioneering we did for each of the life cycle assessments of that building. And if we go in the core of the calculation, looking here only at building materials, but you could also look at energy, water, or other impacts. You can have access here to all our database. So any country's environmental product declarations from manufacturers. You can just enter the data or import it from your Revit models or other softwares you use. So here I'm looking for some insulation products. I'm going through the database, and you have here access. I'm on the French project, so it shows me French data, to the actual EPD from the manufacturer that you can download. And then you also can compare the product to what is available on the market, so that you can also make a choice in terms of how is that material performing against similar materials, and is there other options we should be specifying on the projects maybe. And then once all of this information is entered for a project, you just, I'm here going to the results page, so it will give you an overview. That's one of the results report, but they change. If you're using another tool like Energy Carbon, it will be different. So you have all global warming potential and other environmental indicators. You can compare your different design options. So you have reports available to identify the hotspots in your design. What are the most contributing materials? looking at different graphs and really trying to pinpoint down what can be optimized on this specific building LCA project. What you can also do here is that you can send that data point to another user. So we are here on a building lifecycle assessment project. It could be an infrastructure project, and you can send the emissions and all environmental impacts to your portfolio assessment so that you can then have a vision of the carbon emissions at corporate level. So here I'm clicking on send my data point to another user. It could be a user in a new organization doing the greenhouse gas reporting. And then on the last slide, here I'm on my greenhouse gas reporting tool where we have our scope 1, 2, and 3 emissions for each of the years for the company. And those take now into account that building lifecycle assessment I sent. I think that's it for me. It covers it all. I don't know if my time is up, but I hope it was useful. And if you have any questions, do not hesitate to let us know. Thanks.
Okay, perfect timing, Laurelia. We have a question. I think we have some time remaining, so let's take it right now. It's going to be easier. So how does the software calculate the impacts of transport of materials and logistics?
Yeah, so depending on the lifecycle assessment scope of the tool you're working with, you're allowed to change transport distance. So when you go in the material tab, you can edit the transport mode and the transport distance for each of the materials.
Okay, great, thank you. If you have any more questions, feel free to ask them on the chat and we'll be more than happy to come back to it at the end of the session. Thanks again, Laurelia, for this introduction to Click LCA and the nice demo. So now we'll be moving to Poland with Ernest, co-founder and CEO of Hustro. So Hustro develops software that collects data on site and use it to improve monitoring and risk analysis and reduce dispute resolution costs. So Ernest, if you're hearing me, please open up your mic and your camera, and you have 5 minutes.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me? Can you see me?
Yes.
Perfect. So my name is Ernest Szydelski, the CEO of Hustro, where we built a software system that leads users in controlling even the most complex construction projects. And it's a huge pleasure to be here with you a little over a year from my last visit to the Impulse Partners event. Last time we saw each other, there was no pandemic. We were releasing the app prototype and just landed our first pilot partner and pre-seed investor. It was December 2019. What a time it was. We didn't have to wear masks everywhere. And although 2020 was a tough year all around, the pandemic only accelerated our work. And today Hustro is present on 32 construction sites in 3 different countries. And 2 weeks ago, we celebrated finalizing our seed round. Next slide, please. So the product we are building aims to lower the risks and costs generated by construction site issues. So, for example, we noticed that quality issues alone can generate additional productivity, legal and administrative costs that can reach up to 10 or even 15% of the project value. And to protect general contractors and limit those costs, we are building Hustro. Next, please. So Hustro, next slide, so Hustro is a system of tools for fast, previous one, yeah, perfect. So Hustro is a system of tools for fast and comprehensive inspections set in automated issue resolution process designed for and by specialists in the area of quality, health and safety, and environment. And thanks to user-centric design and built-in data standardization, users can identify, fix, account, and prevent issues faster than ever without going through extensive training. And the next one, please. So during the last year, we were testing Hustro on one of the most interesting projects in Poland, second line of Warsaw Metro, where we provided the access to our offline-focused mobile app as well as web application to the whole team of the general contractor, Gulermak AS. Could you go to the next one? So, and as submitting an issue in Hustro takes under 45 seconds, it's extremely easy and available to the whole team. We are able to increase the number of issues found and tracked by over 25%. And due to data standardization and advanced filtering, the issues were analyzed quicker. Corrective actions were approved by construction manager with just one click, and reports were generated automatically. This helped us to reduce the administrative time spent on issue management more than 75%. And as the full history of what happened, so full history of costs, communications is stored in our system, and the documents are always created flawlessly also in the system, the project managers, lawyers, and finance specialists have now all information available remotely when a conflict arises and a dispute with a subcontractor or a client has to be resolved quickly. And the next one. So to sum up, we were able to increase issue identification, lower the time spent on administration and decision making, and help out with managing the most contentious issues. And finally, over time, we were also able to increase the issue resolution time by 30%. So just to quote a quality manager on the project, Hustro Field is easy to use and provides excellent data that help us improving the quality of the delivered product. And then last slide, please. And as in this year, we are focusing even more on data utilization and issue prevention. I would like to invite you to join us by taking one of the 2 spots left for this quarter for pilot project implementation and see how great data and intuitive software can simplify the life of your teams and increase the profitability of your projects. Thank you. I hope we'll be able to talk soon.
Thank you very much, Ernest. Well heard your message about the pilot. We'll make sure that we pass on the message. If you have any questions, again, feel free to ask them on the chat or at the end. And also, if you want to be connected with Ernest and want to know more about Hustro, you can fill out the form that you're just seeing right now in the chat. So thanks a lot, Ernest, and we'll be now moving to our last startup of the day from Denmark. So I'm happy to welcome Henrik, the CEO of Cobod. So Cobod designs 3D construction robotic printers and automate processes for the construction site. And they have a lot of use cases, and Henrik is gonna talk about some of them today. So Henrik, if you hear me, please switch on your microphone and your video, and it's your time.
Thank you very much, Benjamin. Good afternoon, gentlemen. Next slide, please. I'm going to tell you about Cobod. And to start off, in all unmodesty, we are globally the leading 3D construction printing technology provider. That means that we sell construction printers. We don't do projects as such. Our customers are doing the projects. But we make sure that all the experience gained from our customers are accumulated and then shared between the customers. Next slide, please. So we began our journey in 2017, where we 3D printed the first building in Europe. We did that here in Copenhagen, Denmark. Can you show the video, please? The first video. This was obviously a big thing, the first 3D printed building in Europe. So we invited the mayor, and we had champagne and everything. And we made a lot of mistakes. We were not very good, to be honest. But we also learned very much from doing this project. Here you see the final building, still standing, of course. You're more than welcome to come and visit us, COVID allowing. So on the basis of that, we developed a second generation printer, the Bot 2 printer, And quite quickly, we started selling that, and we started there were more projects done with our printers. And if you move to the second video in a second, we see our first customer that actually then printed the first two-story building in Europe. That was done by COMMERcio in Belgium. And you see how the printer works here. I will tell you more details about this project later. So for now, we will just only show the video. Yeah, and then actually Perry then came in back in 2018, and I don't think I need to introduce Perry to you. I think you're all aware of them, the big formworks equipment supplier. So in essence, the manual competitor. But they decided to become minority investors in us, which was, of course, a huge quality stamp. And then here in 2020, they actually did the first 3D printed building in Germany. Next slide, please. And by just here recently in November, they actually 3D printed the first 3-floor apartment building in Wallenhausen in Germany. And this is a commercial project. Yes, show the video, please. So this is not a demonstration project. This is a commercial project made for people that wants to make money out of renting out these apartments. You can also see the technological updates that we've done to the printer, etc. It's become totally digitally controlled, of course, and is capable of producing these buildings much faster than what you can using traditional methods. Yeah. Then we also, through Perry, managed to sell our first printer into a precast plant. We actually just sold the second one now here. But even the precast plants, which you normally would consider to be competitive of ours, they are now starting to buy our technology. And then here very lately also, our very good partner 14 Trees, partly owned by Lafarge Holcim, started 3D printing the first buildings in Africa. So, you know, speaking about a challenge, they did very, very well. So congratulations to Lafarge and the team behind for securing this. Next slide, please. Yeah. Also in 2019 and 2020, we started 3D printing the first windmill towers. And we did that in cooperation with none other than General Electric and again, Lafarge. Who helped to supply the material needed for this very special print. Let's see the video, please. So this was, of course, a very unique print. It was 100 tons of printing. What you should notice is a little bit when we actually just see the printer working, we don't see anybody around. It's just the printer that is doing what it should. And completely automatic is printing the tower. It took 3 weeks. We were not completely satisfied, so we put ourselves with a higher target. And the next time when we printed a pedestal, it was 75% more, including 8 tons of reinforcement, but we did it in 3 days. That's a 12 times improvement in productivity. Next slide, please. So we've been very lucky. We've had 1 year with losses, and then we started to become profitable. As you can see also on the numbers here, we are growing pretty fast, 100%, and we are planning on doing the same this year. We have a vast variety of various customers, as you can see on the left side. And we are so fortunate that we have a very good mixture of international and Danish people. And then, as you can see from my face, we are led by quite senior managers. Both me and my CFO are more than 50. So we know what we are doing. And I think that's reflected in our results. Next slide, please. So a little bit more about this project that was done in Belgium, the first two-story building in Europe. They used 50 tons of material. So there's 50 tons of concrete here. It had 45 MPa in compression strength. They took a total of 15 days. It was spread over some time because it was actually printed by students. So even if you consider this technology to be very advanced and so on, it is noticeable that this project was printed by students who we trained during a week, and then they trained other students, and then they came once a week to print this building. And in the end, they actually did the first 3D printed 2-story building in Belgium. They had lots of savings on the formwork and on the reinforcement because of use of fibers also in the project, and it was fully permitted. Next slide, please. That basically concludes my presentation. I think I used my time. If you have any questions or want to discuss any project whatsoever, it could also be outside of normal buildings like concrete, big concrete structures. Please feel free to contact me. Thanks a lot.
Thanks a lot, Henrik, for those concrete examples and this introduction to Cobod. So we have one question actually. So 2 questions. Which material is used for printing?
We are material agnostic. That means that as long as it's a printable material and it's let's say based on a flowable material that cures and hardens up, we will print it with our equipment. So far, both mortars, ready-mix, dry-mix mortars have been used, and also real concrete. For instance, in our building in 2017, we made the recipe ourselves, and it included 23% recycled material, actually recycled ceiling tiles, and that was a real concrete, so with a particle size of up to 10 millimeter.
Also, another questions, did you have problems with building regulations as far as static safety is concerned?
Yeah, in the sense that we have to do some shortcuts. The typical shortcut we do, I can just illustrate. Here you see the example of the bot building done back in 2017. And what we did was we printed hollow columns in there and we casted them out with traditional concrete, because this 3D printable concrete, especially when it contains recycled materials, is not among the pre-approved concretes. So they didn't like to make the walls load bearing. So we overcome that by building it with columns and beams instead. But that's just one method. More methods have been applied. In fact, all the buildings that have been printed with our printers have used different methods which were applicable in their countries. So Perry, for instance, in Germany, took the route of getting the material permitted in Germany, such that they could build load-bearing walls.
Okay. Okay. Well, thank you. Thank you, Henrik, for those answers and for your presentation. Thanks to all the startup speakers. So now we'll move to the investor perspective. And so I'm happy to welcome Ibon from CEMEX Ventures, who will tell us more about their investment thesis and how they perceive digital construction. So Ibon, it's your time.
Yeah, thank you, Benjamin, and thank you, Impulse team for the invitation. And congratulations for the 4 companies for an amazing presentations. So I am Ibon, team member of CEMEX Ventures, which is the open innovation arm of CEMEX. And in the next slide, we can see a general overview of CEMEX. Well, we have more than 100 years of history, and very briefly, we are operating at a global scale in more than 50 countries. We are one of the top leading companies in each of our core business, cement, ready-mix, and aggregates, with 30 billion sales yearly. So you can see that we are a big company with big and strong and complicated processes, but at the end of the day, our purpose is to build a better future. So how are we doing that? In the next slide, we can see that CEMEX Ventures, as said before, is the open innovation arm of CEMEX. So we have a strategical point of view, and we are trying to identify and develop new business models that could be disruptive for this industry. We are using and identifying innovative technologies And for what are we doing this? We are doing this on one hand to innovate the core business, and on the other hand to strengthen the core business, not only with digital transformation with startups and innovative solutions or projects, but also developing collaborative opportunities with and partnerships with universities, accelerators, and other kind of stakeholders that are playing different roles in this entrepreneurial ecosystem in the construction industry. In the next slide, we see that it's worth to mention that we were born as a very small unit or department 4 years ago, and in these 4 years we have achieved several milestones. And now we can say that we are one of the most relevant ComTech investors or players in this ecosystem at a global scale. We have 3 different offices in worldwide. We have in Madrid, in Spain, in Mexico, and a new one recently opened in China. In these months and years, we have identified and analyzed over 3,800 startups and projects. One of our main initiatives or strong initiative is the construction startup competition. I'm going to talk about it later on, but through 4 successful editions, we have reached to 1,500 startups, and among all these startups, we invested in 14 disruptive and amazing companies at a global basis. It's our portfolio. And we are also developing different ecosystems in different geographies, such as the USA and North America, Latin American countries, here in Europe, and also in China and Asia Pacific regions. So as you can see, we are expanding our operations to different countries, a lot of activities that I'm going to explain in the next slide. We are looking for high impact opportunities using our open innovation mechanism. For example, we are trying to build a network of different stakeholders. So far, our network is composed of more than 100 players, and in this network we have GCs, we have different academia players, industry players, equipment related companies, different profiles. What we are doing is every 2 weeks we are launching a newsletter, and this newsletter contains different industry related news about interesting articles, reports, and also we are highlighting different deals or investments that are happening in the ecosystem. As said before, we have launched so far 4 successful editions of the construction startup competition at a global scale. And for the first time last year in 2020, we launched this competition together with other industry players. We saw that this initiative was gaining a lot of interest and presence in the ecosystem, so we decided to open this project to new players. And this year we are going to continue doing the same with new players and new investors or industry people. It's worth to say that after 4 successful editions, this initiative has has become one of the biggest challenges for entrepreneurs in the CONTEC ecosystem. We are also making strong partnerships with different companies. We are launching joint ventures, partnership to accomplish sustainability goals. And also we are trying to be the market reference of the ecosystem. We have been selected as one of the top 50 investors in the last 2 years. So in the next slide, here we can see we have different focus areas, taking into account the whole value chain of the construction, since the beginning of the project until the end of the construction project, the delivery of an asset. And finally, in the next slides, I would like to talk you about the next one, please. I would like to talk you about 2 different startups, which are the most recent ones that we have invested, both of them related to sustainability issues. The first one is ArcLight, which was the winner of the startup competition of 2019. They are processing all kind of plastics, processing them and converting into a light artificial gravel or aggregate for non-structural purposes. They are originally from Argentina, but after our investment and obtaining financial aid from other investors like Coca-Cola, they landed in United States. They set up a larger factory in Los Angeles, and they are trying to cover the whole country from there. And the last one is Soil Connect, is our most recent investment. It is a digital platform that connects different players, the ones that are needing dirt or aggregates, and connecting them with those people that are trying to get rid of those dirt or aggregates. They are focused in New York urban area, but after this last investment from CEMEX Ventures and other relevant industry people in United States, they are trying to strengthen different geographies, key geographies in the states, such as Florida, Texas, Arizona, and California as well. And we are also drafting a couple of pilots with them. So we are working very closely, as you can see, with our startups. We are not giving only the financial support, but also drafting a roadmap and giving them support in other tasks in order to make scalable and make them grow in the industry. So yeah, that's all. If you have any question or any concern, feel free to contact me, and also from sending an email through our website. Happy to connect you and answer any question or any doubt.
Great. Thank you very much, Ibon, for this very complete introduction of CEMEX Ventures. And see you soon. Thank you again to all the speakers for the presentation, and I would like now to give the floor to Antoine, partner at Impulse, for the conclusion.
Thank you, Benjamin. Thank you, and thanks to all our speakers today. It was very interesting to listen to you all. I want first to thank Ibon for the presentation from CEMEX Ventures, because it's always very interesting to understand the view from a big corporate company. And CEMEX is for sure a very interesting and large material manufacturer. So we were more than happy to understand your views on digital innovation for construction and to understand your investment thesis. So I think it can also be very interesting for the startups that are with us today to understand your positioning. As you know, and as you have understood, our understanding of digital is not only about software development, but of course it is also software development, but we include robotics inside the large scale digitalization of the construction sector. So we were very pleased to listen today Artem from KEWAZO explaining us how KEWAZO is transforming the construction sector one step at a time and starting from scaffolding, which is an interesting challenge for robotization. And also to listen to Henrik from Cobod, who explained us his views on this very interesting and potentially disrupting technology that is large-scale 3D printing for the construction sector. On the software and application development, we were also very happy to listen Lorelia explaining us how life cycle assessment can be improved by efficient tools like Click LCA, and of course, as you all know, carbon footprint of the construction and reduction of the carbon footprint of the construction is a major trend for the future in the construction business. So Click LCA is a very good example of how digital can help to improve the life cycle performance of the building. And finally, I was also very happy to listen once more Ernest from Hustro explaining us how finally digitalization is also a very good way to improve the efficiency of the construction company and at every stage of their day-to-day business. So here, eventually for dispute resolution and risk analysis, which is very critical for many large corporates in the construction business. So thank you to everybody, to all of our speakers. It was very interesting to listen you today. As you know, we are very happy to have this Impulse Talk on a regular basis, and the next session of Impulse Talk will be in February. We will talk about smart cities innovation in February, and then we will meet again in March about Industry 4.0, and we will speak again about digital construction in April 2021. So this year will be again very rich in innovation coming from all over the world in Impulse Talks. Once again, we want to thank the partners of this event, which help us to make it available for many people around the world, and we were happy to see today that we had more than 50 people connected during the meeting. And I want to remind also everybody that we have a survey that you can fill to give your feedback on the startups you have listened to today. And this is also the good way to let us know if you want to connect with one of the entrepreneurs you have met today, and we will for sure make the good connection after that. We have some more time now if you still have some questions for the speaker. So feel free to post your question on the chat, or if you want to unmute your microphone and to ask the question if you have some. I think we have some questions in the chat. Just let me check. Yeah, so we have one question for KEWAZO. So Artem, if you are still with us, you can unmute your microphone. The question is, in addition to transportation of material, does KEWAZO offers or plan to offer a service to optimize the scaffolding design, installation, demounting schedule by collecting and processing data from building information modeling?
Yeah, in fact,
Artem, are you still with us?
I'm with you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear me? Anthony?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we hear you.
Awesome. Okay. Yeah. In fact, this is one of the points which is like, I think not many subcontractors understand, because subcontractors are like main clients right now, but they're getting a grasp of it right now, that apart from providing them a solution on this basic level, apart from providing them solution of optimizing their activities on site, we also collect operational data, which can be used for being connected to BIM models and for creating so-called actual target comparisons. So, in fact, what we can actually track, we can create a digital twin of operations. So we can actually, by collecting the data on how much weight was transported to which height and when, we can actually see what's like basically what's going on your site right now. And by collecting this information to BIM models, you can actually skip the step of manual inputting of data and get a much better just get much better transparency on your ongoing operations.
Okay, thank you very much, Artem, for this detail. One other question for Lorelia for One-Click LCA. The question is, I understand that One-Click LCA is mainly about data visualization, data processing and visualization. Do you plan to implement additional functionalities so as the software would be able to propose by itself some changes in the design to improve the life cycle assessment?
Yeah, a very good question, and that comes up quite often. Right now, we don't have an artificial intelligence as such. However, we have tools for different design stages of projects, and we do have a module called the Carbon Designer, which allows you to actually test quickly different structural designs and different construction systems for the different elements in your building within seconds. So it is then up to your project and to the scope of your project to test those different options and compare them between one another. That's how I can answer in short. And of course, if you do want more information, like you can just drop me an email and I can also show you in more detail how it works.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much, Lorelia, for this precision. Do we have any other question for our speaker today? No, I don't think so. So I just have to thank you once more for today and to see you in February for the next session of Impulse Talks. So thank you very much for all your participation today. Thank you.